Welcome to the World Football Summit podcast, the show for football industry leaders who want to stay ahead of the game. We bring you the latest insights, trends, and stories from the experts driving innovation and progress in sports business worldwide. Join us as we dive deep into the ideas and initiatives transforming the world of football. From sustainability and innovation to player development, fan engagement, and everything in between. Our goal is to unite the global football industry and drive positive change and progress. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the World Football Summit podcast. I'm your host, Jaime, CMO at World Football Summit. We regularly say that the traditional sports business model is outdated and that football properties need to innovate. But which are the trends impacting sports the most? That is what we discussed today with Eduardo Valdez, who works with our friends from SportBoost, a startup accelerator led by Iker Casillas and an investment platform focused on innovation, sport, and technology. I'm also joined by Ramón Olaso from the World Football Summit team, and the three of us have an awesome conversation around 7 innovation trends in sports, which include sports science, everything related to athletes taking equity in companies, digital transformation in football, fan engagement, particularly related to Gen Z. This was fun, and you can find out more about how SportBoost and World Football Summit are working together to help sports properties find new avenues for growth through Area 12. You can find the link in the show notes. And before we go into the episode, don't forget to subscribe and rate the podcast on your platform of choice and share it with your industry colleagues. You can also subscribe to our newsletter, where every week we send updates, trends, and everything that goes on at our events. You can find the link in the show notes. Remember, this 2024, we have events in London, Mexico, Sevilla. You can check it all out on our website, and hopefully we'll meet you there. And now, let's welcome Edu from SportBoost and Ramón from the team to the show. Guys, welcome.
Welcome, and thank you for the invitation. Jaime, Ramón, it's a pleasure to be here in this, let's say, virtual roundtable discussing about all related with innovation, technology, and investment. So yeah, happy to be here, and thanks for inviting SportBoost to join this conversation.
Yeah, thank you, Jaime, very much. I'm happy to be here with you guys, and hopefully we can share a bit of what we know about the industry, and hopefully it's helpful for everyone.
It will be. So it'll be fun and helpful. I always like these conversations. So, guys, today we're discussing, innovation in football. We're going to talk about some trends that we see in the space. But I think, Edu, I want to start with you. I mean, why this? Why is it time to bet on innovation for the growth of football?
Why now, right? That's the question, the main question. Well, I think since a while, but let's say particularly since 5 years ago, that we have seen a significant shift in terms of trends. First, with a large number of companies, which technology companies that are developing products to the needs of the sport in various disciplines, and also given the number of new companies that has growth in the last 5 years in this space. But not just the number of companies, right? New companies that are appearing since the last 5 years, increasing that huge number. Also the amount of investment money that we are seeing all around this space. Amount of investment and also interest, because we were seeing here different types of investors that we're going to be talking about. We have like private equity firms, multi-sectorial funds, specialized SportTech funds, another type of private investors that are showing interest. As far as we are, for example, we born almost 3 years ago here in SportBoost, or after, let's say, better to say, to analyze all these trends, and we decided to create this project and be aligned with all these that I have mentioned. So just to give you a number that I heard about last week in another virtual roundtable related with other investor funds in worldwide, that they mentioned that in the last year, over 35 investment funds specialized in SportTech were launched to the market. So just on 2023. So I think it's a number to take in consideration.
I think so. But outside of the numbers, I think when you go to events, you kind of see everybody, properties, brands, just people in general, just speaking more and more about innovation and about technology and about the need to find growth. And probably Ramon can add to this because last week he was in Malaga, leading the event we did around SportTech. You had the opportunity to talk with people from Sevilla, Betis, Cádiz. What was the feeling there, Ramon?
It was amazing actually because all the football clubs are noticing the need of innovation, and it's not only in terms of how to grow in monetary terms, it's also how to grow socially, because we see how society is growing and how they're using their time in order to be, so they work all day long, and then they spend time practicing sports, and they want the best. And society in other industries is giving the best, and football and sports in this sense it has to do the same thing now. So football clubs are not only looking to make more money for themselves, but also trying to go along the society itself. And we saw in Malaga how football clubs and Junta de Andalucía, which is one of our main partners, decided to take the lead on this and to bring all the ecosystem for the football industry and the sports industry in the region in order to grow, no? In order to become one of the leaders and have the most professionals in the football industry in the upcoming years. And I think that's the way to go.
Definitely. And I think people here might be wondering, why are, these three guys coming together, speaking about innovation? Oh, and I think it's a good time to speak about, what we're cooking up here in terms of innovation, no? So obviously the guys from SportBoost, their startup accelerator, they know their stuff, let's say, in terms of innovation and technology. They work with many properties and startups. And then on our side from World Football Summit, we bring kind of like the power of networking through events, through in-person events, and the network that we have around the world. I think that's kind of key, and being able to connect any stakeholder worldwide with knowledge and with startups that, which is what sport bring to the table. All right. So for anybody out there listening, just before we go into the trends, I think it's good to understand where we're coming from. You can actually, I said it in the intro, you can find more about what we do with the link in the show notes, and definitely any of you that are interested in the space, just reach out. Anyway, so guys, let's speak about trends. I think, again, this is, why we're here. And I guess I want to start, Edu. The game starts with the players and maximizing their performance. So obviously, they're key to making things work. So why don't we start there, and let's talk about any trend that you see in terms of health, sports science, testing. Just take it wherever you want, really.
Actually, there are many different things or technologies which are applying to this specific, let's say, topic not related with health tech. But I would like to start personally saying or explaining what is my vision here in terms of what is coming next, right? Because, for example, what I've seen in other industries that are like, I'm sure that it will reach in the sport sooner or later. It will be all related with the nanotechnology. But, this type of non-invasive technology or hard work, like really big or antithetical, that bothers the players or the athletes in their routine or in their trainings or in the match, and will provide other kind of data, more accurate, with more information, and more, at the end, more quality. That it's what the data performance teams at the end are looking for, right? We're seeing now these sort of new trends more related to test or analyze which kind of, or better to say, how the players rest or how to optimize as maximum the performance of the player while they're resting, like try to understand better their body. And also when they are playing during the match or during training, to then provide them what they need to improve. So yeah, first I would like to highlight this. Let's say we talk from the technology side, this kind of new nanotechnology that I'm sure that in the future it will hit the sports. But also I would like to add that as far as we have more and more data, I'm sure that in the future, the artificial intelligence models will become more precise and more accurate, thus adjusting much more to the needs of each athlete. And here I talk about how to personalize things. I mean, how to adapt to your context, Jaime. How can I can connect or how can improve the content, personalized content of Ramon or mine, right? So I'm sure that with this kind of new technologies that will provide better data, it will support the development of artificial intelligence models. And lastly, everything related to longevity or improving health, injury prevention, and nutrition, I believe will grow significantly in the coming years. Not only in the sport, I'm also talking about socially. We're increasingly committed to take care of ourselves.
Yeah, because Edu, in the end, as you were mentioning, the football clubs need to take the best out of their players in order to perform better, to be higher on the rankings, and to win titles, to become one of the greatest clubs for their fans. No, so the best way they can do it is through technology and how technology can apply to these professional guys, and then to take the most out of them. It can be nutrition, it can be the way they rest, the way they run, the way they do everything. No, so I feel like that's a great way to grow, and also I was mentioning now the nutrition. That's an essential part for the players. They're taking over how the athlete needs to perform. In this sense, the athlete needs to eat, needs to rest, needs to perform, and so on. But in what amount, which one is more important? No, I feel like Jaime here, maybe you can add a bit more on how the nutrition is going and how the athletes can perform.
Yeah, the thing about nutrition, I'm just thinking, we're in an era where everybody has an opinion about the optimal diet, about what you should eat and what you shouldn't eat. The reality is that each body, if you will, is different. So what I eat may have not as much for example, if I eat a certain carbohydrate, I might get more glucose peak than Edu or than Ramon. And maybe we're eating the same thing. I think what this is going to enable is to help us understand how each individual food impacts us individually and maximize performance. Edu, you know more than me on this. Am I going in the right direction?
Yeah, you are totally you are. I mean, I'm personally a super freak about this topic, but also we have one of our portfolio startup that is called India, that it's sport nutrition AI, which based on the information being gathered from its client are customized dishes according to all their needs, preference, etc. So we talk a lot with them, and I think I have information about how they are boosting this kind of solution into the sport. So what I see here is that the market is not yet mature. There is room for growth, both in the area of personalization. I mean, during an activity, because I'm talking about me, probably you and Ramon, when we are playing with friends or running or whatever, you cannot get that sort of information. Personal information in an exact moment when you are running or you are doing a particular activity. But also, the pro athletes, most of them, they don't have this kind of data, like how they are reducing their energy or how fast or what they need exactly to get again activity, more energy or whatever they need, right? So I think there is a space yet for growth in all related with personalization, and also in the democratization of these types of services or tools, right? Because it's really going to see in sport, for example, that these solutions can reach not only top teams or they can just reach top teams or professional athletes. But I think here we should think about amateur athletes or grassroots players and their families that at the end will have to cook for their kids, right? So I think here there are two things. First, or two things for growth. First, the personalization, and secondly, the democratization of these kind of tools, knowledge, apps, or whatever you want to call. I don't know. What do you think about it? I want to listen.
I didn't realize, Edu, you were kind of like a nerd for these topics as me. I think we're at risk of actually just going way too far this line. So we're going to have to hold this one up for another podcast conversation, which is great.
Yeah.
To your point, Edu, about the democratization and personalization, we were actually speaking offline now about, Ramon's career, the youth teams at Zaragoza.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, how could Ramon's career been different if he would have had this technology at his service of understanding, and the different data, recovery, nutrition, no, Ramon?
No, it would have. Thanks for that, Jaime. I was amateur player, but it's great because back in the day I quit football because of two injuries, two ACL injuries, just like Ronaldo. But no, but it was great actually because we were measuring sort of the nutrition we had. We were measuring different things. I was here in Zaragoza, then I went to play in the US, and it was totally different type of football. But I felt like here in Spain, we didn't do much in terms of nutrition. We didn't do much in terms of tracking how we can prevent those injuries. And then in the US, they had like a complete different thing. They were measuring the food. They were measuring all our practices. We practiced much more than we did here. Here it was like everybody says more on quality, and then over there it was basically a lot of strength. So for the strength, I was thinking now that as you were speaking, Edu, that there are other sports, for example, cycling or swimming, that focus so much on nutrition. And then in terms of football here, we speak with so many clubs and with so many professional entities, and they do things in terms of nutrition and preventing injuries, but they're not the best, and they're taking the lead on the number one. So I see a lot of growth, room for growth over there.
And one thing here also, Ramon, just to add, is that probably they have this kind of nutrition plans or nutrition personalized, but just for 25 pro athletes. I mean, probably the first team, male and female, but then the whole structure of the group, they don't have access to it. So these kind of technologies that are backed by AI, you can democratize. I mean, you can personalize. Obviously, you will have to have someone behind the scene, which will have to track everything, obviously. But with these kind of technologies, you can democratize all the plans one-to-one, player by player. So yeah, I think we are gaining in this space this kind of tools, this kind of platforms that I am sure that in the future will provide an extra value to all the work that they are doing in their class. Yeah.
No, yeah, totally. Maybe back for me, if some sort of technology or AI had told me, don't practice today, you're gonna get injured, maybe probably I would have not done it, and maybe I'll be somewhere else than that here. But
in terms of prevention of injuries,
so much we can do there.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of prevention of injuries, I see like it will become earlier this kind of technologies, or let's say platforms, than or in cooperation with nutrition.
I think that's the key, no? How do you make these technologies accessible the top 25 players in a squad. But the reality is that football is made up of the base of football, the youth programs, no? Men, women, and don't get me started on the women, right? Because of all of these controversies with women being injured in the ACLs. Sorry, Ramon, for that. I didn't know that story. I think that's the key. You know, how can we make it accessible for the youth, and ideally increase? I mean, who knows? Could Ramon have been, the starting midfielder for Spain in the national team? Did we lose any hidden talent there? You know what I mean? And I'm being serious about this. You know, you see, you lose talent. I mean, for example, I once was looking at, I was seeing a documentary about Iker Casillas' team in it was the second division or the third division whenever he was playing in the youth teams of Real Madrid. He said, well, that guy, he pointed to some guy in a picture, said that guy was the best of the team, but he got injured and he never reached his potential. You know, I think this leads me, guys, to the next trend, which is obviously you never know when a career.
Let's interrupt again because I think I have another good.
No worries. Go ahead, Edu.
And it's not just like in nutrition, we're thinking about how to maximize the performance of my player, right? But if we talk about injury prevention, we're talking about how may I reduce expenses or costs, right? Because at the end, every single day that you have someone like resting for an injury or trying to recover from an injury, if you are obviously playing in a super top club or let's say in a professional level, if you are a sport entity, you are throwing the money to the garbage. I mean, I heard, I don't remember, 2-3 years ago, one of the main sport directors in La Liga, now he's in the Premier League, that he mentioned that he estimated as around 10 million euros of expenses just in terms of medical, I don't know the right word. I mean,
expensive.
Yeah, in comparison, it was like 10 million euros, I think, in comparison with the time that the players didn't play and they were injured. So if you include or if you work with these sort of technologies which support you in terms of injury prevention, you have a super potential technology which will provide you new data that it will estimate. For sure, it will be precisely what it gives to you, right? Yeah, I'm sure about it. But it will give you more information that you have right now. I promise you can reduce from 10 to 8 million your budget in terms of expenses just for the medical staff. We are reducing at 20% of this amount. I mean, we can do things with technology in this sense.
No, and in that sense, Edu, I see also that we've seen some of one of the greatest things this year in the terms of the football industry, and it's how Xabi Alonso defined this methodology to play for Bayer Leverkusen. And I'm quite sure I've seen so many pictures and videos of how Xabi Alonso brings the entire staff to the field. And those are the physiotherapists, those are the nutritionists, those are all these people that work with all this technology in order for the team to perform. I'm quite sure that they're going to design a methodology or to put in paper what the Xabi Alonso's methodology is for the future, and they're going to take it for the entire academy. So from now on, Bayer Leverkusen is going to have a story to tell, but that story that they're going to be telling to all the academies is going to be based on physiotherapists that work with technology, with nutritionists that are looking for the best points in glucose for the athletes, for the performance to do the best in the field. They're going to be preventing injuries. So that entire methodology is something that Bayer Leverkusen is probably going to do in the future, and every single club can do the same thing. So the room for space is huge.
It is. And I like, where Edo was going with this, which is the business impact of this, right? I mean, at the end of the day, just think about it. If you're able to improve, first of all, the quality of your squad and the performance of your players because you're giving them more data, you're reducing your medical expenses because they're taking better care of themselves. As a business, you're going to grow because you're reducing expenses. Probably the quality of your team is going to increase, and then you're going to get probably better results, probably better attendance. That's also revenue coming in, probably better commercial partnerships. At the end of the day, it all trickles down, right? And then who knows? If you get a super awesome player that doesn't get injured, you're going to get the benefit of of transferring him or her to another club. So everything starts to trickle down, which is just that, so interesting. But again, there's the risk of a player getting injured, having to finish his or her career early. And that, I think, is a good segue to our next trend, which is everything related to how athletes, especially, are looking for opportunities to be more than players and to actually expand, or let's say, just go into different avenues that are going to help them maintain their financial, if you will, right? And that's where everything related to service for equity comes in, because for them it's a vehicle for investment and to actually, just really manage the money, I guess, more effectively, right? So, Edu, I don't know if you can explain the concept of service for equity in the context of football, and why is it becoming more and more popular?
Well, let me start with the athletes' role in this part of investment, if you don't mind, Jaime, and then I will move to that question, because we're remember that we started the conversation talking about the trends in the last, let's say, over the past 5 years. One of those trends are the stronger awareness among athletes regarding investing in a space that they have the control, they control and understand perfectly. They have like this kind of knowledge, expertise, which it will be impossible for you and me, that we are not pro athletes, we haven't been, and we are not going to be probably. And they have this kind of extra value that it's like a superpower, I think. So generally, they are aiming to invest in as a wealth strategy, and also to provide value with their expertise to the companies where they get aligned, right? So that's why I think it's important to mention that, let's say that firstly, or in general, it's really common to invest with capital and then also provide value from the perspective of the athletes, okay? Then if let's move now to talk about or to give that explanation or definition of the concept of services for equity, that for me is an exchange of the company asset stakes in return for image specific services like a marketing plans or commercialization. There are different ways to activate it, and it's a way to not be depleted, to invest from the property wall. And it's interesting from the company's point of view, possibly less to do it, because let's see how to explain well. From the point of view of the company that accept this type of modeling, are usually in a very early stage. That at this point, what they really need is cash. So it's true that obviously the brand part is positive and relevant, but at the end, most of the things that they need at the beginning is cash. So that's why, from the perspective of a startup, it's not the best scenario in general. Okay, so that's why I think to check for a fair balance, it's important to adjust very well what will be granted to the startups and what you are going to ensure to fulfill it, right? So that one's the like which kind of milestone are you going to achieve, be able to receive this payment in terms of equity, right? I don't know if I explain well, or do you want me to reconstruct again the question?
No, that was perfect, Edu, and we see it every day. No, SportBoost, and in this case, World Football Summit. Our main job is to be kind of in the bridge, in the middle of connecting football clubs, leagues, federations, and any other sports. In our case, it's football, but with the startups. And many times that model it's kind of complicated, because the club knows that they have a super strong brand, or the sport entity or the athlete itself, and they tell the startup, look, I'm going to give you my brand, you're going to be able to sell more to somebody else, But in reality, what the startup needs is investment. No? What they need is to operate, to grow. And even though branding in the marketing is going to help them sell more, they need structure and they need that part that it's the money itself.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you, Ramon. And obviously, I think, or as what we have seen in the market is normally, first thing is capital, is investment with cash. And then if we can provide, let's say, an extra value through brand image or whatever, probably you can, instead of investing, let's say, a ticket of 100,000 euros, you can convert one part in equity, exchanging for brand image, right? But let's say the average of the investment, it has to be with cash. That could be, let's say, the regular model.
But that the thing there is that the athlete has a unique position in their expertise of the industry, of really understanding the reality of the game and everything that goes on around it. No, so I really like the framework of what you were saying. It is okay. Yes, you have your financial resources, if you will, but then you also have what I want to call the intellectual resources, which is all that knowledge, that expertise. You know, and I think that's worth considering. But I'm also thinking, as with any investment, there's risk associated to this, right?
Super risk.
Any I don't know. What have you seen in that regard that stands out patterns in terms of risk, or maybe even how are athletes and clubs facing that risk?
Well, I feel here, Edu, that football clubs need, or any sport entity need to have a long-term vision in this sense, because here is the matter of the revenue streams. No, as we know, it's television, it's commercial, and it's sort of like ticketing or match day, sort of. But if they invest in other type of companies, if they're willing to take another financial asset for them, they need to think larger in terms of time, longer. I mean, and also that has the risk of you being playing in first division, and what happens if I go to second division, I get cut down of my television, and then I lose like, I don't know, 40% of my revenue. And what am I doing investing in a tech company? No, so that's sort of like the mindset and the play that the clubs need to do. And I understand that the most important thing is to get the athletes to perform better, to stay in first division, to get the most out of television. But there is much more. And in terms of the football industry or the sports industry to grow, they need to think broader. They think they need to diversify these revenue streams.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. And also regarding like this potential risk that we have commented about this model related with services for equity, here I see two things. From the perspective of the company or the startups, I think the main risk is not meeting the established standards. I mean, often with the workload and the day-to-day tasks in the sport entities, if you don't have a dedicated team or department for this, the risk percentage are very high and the chances of failure even more. So I think it's really important if you are a sport entity and you want to be involved in this kind of modeling, to have at least someone or a department or an external company which develop and coordinate all these kind of actions, right? And also, from the perspective of the team or the club or sport entities, I think the risk can also be in terms of brand association. That it's clear there is an inherent risk in investing in there, because at the end, in terms of brand association, okay, because obviously there is a risk just for investment, although you are not investing with cash, you are putting your brand that it has value. So that's why there is a risk. And also investing in this kind of stages, let's say early stage till seed, at the end, 1 out of 10 startups survive. So probably several will die, but association with a brand that could harm you can be like very damaging.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, to your first point, I think the key here is commitment. No?
Yeah, absolutely. Our commitment and to understand really well from the sport entity perspective with whom you are going to associate, like to understand the company very well, the technology behind it, to know the team, everything. Do a proper due diligence of the company.
And in addition to that, I mean, I would say, to me at least, understanding in this case the fan and and his or her behavior is the first thing, right? So, yes, you can work with the best startup in the world. They might have the best piece of technology. They might have the best team in the world. But if at the end of the day that doesn't solve a problem for your fan, if you're going to succeed. Similarly, so if you're an athlete or a club looking to invest or collaborate with any of these startups, first understand the problem they're trying to solve. And probably as an athlete or as a club, you're going to understand those dynamics better than anybody, which is kind of like the role that the elite have, no? And then with that, you're going to say, okay, with my strategy in place, I know where to invest and I know where to put my money and I know where I can add value, to your point, and I know where I can put my financial resources. But this kind of ties well with my next trend, because we're speaking about commitment. And when you speak about commitment, it's not only, it's a long-term play, definitely, but you also need to put some resources in play. And you were mentioning the need for properties to have someone in the team to actually be able to dedicate him or herself to this, which kind of leads us to a professionalization of the industry, especially in the realm of digital transformation. Because now with all these new technologies, you really need to understand, you need someone who understands, as I said, the business problem, but also be knowledgeable enough in terms of the technology to understand where it can be applied. So I guess I was wondering, Edu, here, what have you seen in terms of, that evolution? How has the industry welcomed professionals that have not traditionally been involved in sport, but are becoming more and more demanded because of the needs of the industry to become more professional and to embrace digital transformation as a source of growth?
Yeah, I think I'm seeing signs, let's say 3-5 year, a change, a mindset changing. It's true that we should here like try to understand that what I'm going to say is about Europe or probably what I'm seeing in USA, because I'm not working with other parts of the world, and probably I don't have all the information. But what I have seen as well is that this ecosystem of sport entities are embracing this kind of innovation and technology or digitalization strategies, doing like new kind of sort of programs, actions, developing their own department, or even creating like innovation centers. I think if I think about Spain, we have several examples like Liga, we have like Celta, the Big Goal Lab, Barça Innovation Hub, Madrid Next, Sevilla Innovation Center, Valencia Innovation Hub. There are many different labs, which I think year by year, they are there appearing with their own models, because the good thing as well is that it's not something unique and everyone is doing the same. All of them have their particularities depending on their context and their strategy. But at the end of the day, all of them, they have this kind of mindset that Ramon was saying about thinking in the long term. I mean, there are not projects in this space which just appear for 1 year and then disappear. They are really betting for being there, doing new things, and try to provide as much value as possible to their whole structure. Other example is, for example, Baskonia Group, or with the factory project that I really like as well. There are many examples here in Spain, and also in Europe and USA, which we have to embrace.
Obviously, understanding the digital landscape, first you need to understand fan behavior. At the end of the day, it's not really about the tool, which of course is going to enable a lot of possibilities, but fan behavior always comes first. And one of the big challenges in terms of fan behavior here is understanding the younger audiences, Gen Z, no? And this is, I think, the last topic that we want to discuss today, because everybody in the industry complains that they have shorter attention spans, that they're more interested in competitions like the Kings League, So I don't know. How do you think these shifts in fan behavior, especially among younger fans, are influencing, a format, new football competitions like the Kings League? I mean, what's going on there? What are your thoughts?
not just in football, in other disciplines as well. We're seeing it changing, such as, for example, rugby, football, not just particularly soccer, right? I think with all this kind of change of mindset in terms of with the new generations, the sports competitions are we're seeing that they are creating new competitions. They are also adapting to the new behavior. So that means they are trying to reformulate or to change a bit the kind of model that they used to have. For example, we have seen that in the ATP in tennis, right? We have seen as well with the NBA. I think in terms of rules or format of the competition, they are doing slightly changes in general. I think we are going to see more and more examples in that sense in the future, in the near future. I don't know if it's soccer or what others competition, but yeah, we are seeing it. And also we are and I'm going to try to link it up with the technology. We are seeing how this new, let's say, wave related with gamification is hitting here as well. I mean, the traditional sports are trying to engage with this kind of new target, this massive target, try to gamificate or do something more, well, where the audience can feel that they are participating actively in the game, doing something different. As I used to, for example, connect with the sports, or probably you, Jaime, Ramon, let's say the elders in comparison with this new generation, right? So first, just to summarize, I think, and I totally agree with you that we have seen changes in the format, and we are still seeing it more and more in the future. I'm totally sure. Secondly, that are appearing new kind of sports, such as, for example, what we have seen with the Kids League, right, in football. But we're seeing it as well with other sports. And thirdly, try to connect these kind of new technologies or these new waves related with sports tech into the game, such as the gamification example that I mentioned a few seconds ago.
Mm-hmm. I was actually interviewing Kike Levy for the podcast a few weeks ago with our friend Kike. We were talking about this very thing, no? And we were just saying how the formats may change, the channels may change, the way in which you reach fans may change, but at the end of the day, the essence is always football or sport. Yeah. So it's whatever you develop from that core of the sport doesn't really matter, because, you know, there's always this conversation that if something like the Kings League is going to actually compete with football, and his reasoning was it's actually going to help football. It's going to help bring in new fans. I had that conversation with Peter Moore about video games, and he told us the same, that you would not believe how many industry leaders have told me, no, actually, we have fans that actually come to the club thanks to a video game, you know? So that's kind of like a reality that we just need to accept, and it happens, you know? I guess I'm thinking, guys, I mean, and one put your opinions, you know, Edu, obviously.
Just to watch this kind of sport or new sport, obviously, but also to practice it. Because, for example, virtual reality, it has appeared and it allows you to practice sports that you probably were not aware that they were like really fun to do or to use to follow that kind of sport. Just to give you a practical example, like let's see Swift, that is a cyclist app, which it recreate yourself doing sport. So you have to connect your iPad or your computer or mobile to the app and to the bike, and you can replicate or simulate the same kind of route as a professional cyclist, like can be Tadej Pogacar or whatever. So this kind of mix between practicing a new sport or practicing a sport with the gamification that provides you this kind of technology, I think is super interesting as well, right? To engage you to try new sports or new ways to practicing sport, right?
No, totally, Edu. For that, I believe that we have to keep in mind that the essence of sports, in this case football, is passion. And it seems like a big topic, but the feeling you get inside, we saw it a couple of weeks ago with Real Madrid again, that you stay there until the last minute because you never know what's going to happen. No? This is something that football gives you that other sports don't give you. No? For example, in basketball, if you are 50 points ahead or 30, then you know that the game is won already. But in football, this can change. And that also excites people to practice the sport even more, no? And to look to get that inspiration of those who practice it, and then being able to, in different ways, no, as Jaime was saying, maybe by watching Kings League you find a new way of practicing sport, of loving sport, but then you belong to a city and then you go to the stadium to watch it. So I feel like as long as you keep the essence of what the sport means, then the format or whatever comes in the future, which is very difficult to answer, is going to be in the second part.
That's a good point. I was actually moderating a panel this morning on sports marketing. And at the end of the day, sports, it's unique because of the emotions it's able to create, because of the stories that you can generate. And that's what's actually drafting the attention. I don't think it's a matter of the format or the type of content. If the story is good, if the emotions are strong, you're going to get that engagement regardless. No, that's what I think. But I guess I'm thinking, and I want, I guess, both of your opinions, because obviously, Edu, you have exposure to startups that are actually playing in this space. Ramon, you speak a lot of companies and with clubs. So what opportunities, what challenges are you seeing out there that football properties can embrace, or sports, whoever?
Well, first, I would mention to have a chance to understand better how technology, or which kind of technologies could support them to engage with this kind of new target that we were mentioning, right? There are several examples as we have been commenting in the last minutes, but it's really important for them to understand well what is going on outside and what is going on over there. That if they don't have this kind of let's say resources, or a person or a department specialized on checking or scouting the market for this kind of technologies or new technologies, it's really difficult to find it out, right? So yeah, I would highlight that part. Then, in terms of what we are seeing in the market right now, I would mention, for example, again, VR, that I think is a super tech in terms of engaging and connecting overall, or allowing the clubs or the competition or sport entities in general to connect with their audience and in a new way, right? Because probably, yeah, I can work on a super experience in the stadium with my fans, but what happened with the rest of your, let's say, 600,000 fans that they cannot reach the stadium, right? So this kind of technologies, it allows you to give them a better experience, or at least get them close to what it feels when you are in the stadium, or how you can celebrate the goal in your sofa as your coach, such as if you were in the stadium, right? So these kind of technologies, I think it will grow in the near future. I've seen a wide range of examples in different competitions which are trying to boost this technology into their competition and with their clubs as well, to try to embrace and to try to play this kind of new, let's say, revolution in terms of connecting fans in a better way, right? Same with augmented reality, for example, not just from a performance perspective, also with the fans, with these new fans that they are looking for this kind of visual impact. I think it's really important as well to do something similar in that sense. For example, and then obviously artificial intelligence. I mean, working with these kind of new tools based on this sort of technology, which can support you on predict which will be the behavior of your fans doing something in one way or in another one, is really important and valuable for a sport entity to do one activation or another one, or provide a different kind of content probably to Jaime than to Ramon than me, because we have different tastes, we have different preferences, and that's what AI can provide to us, right? Or that case to the sport entities. So I will just, let's say, highlight, because I don't want to be talking more, but and give you space as well for the debate. But I will highlight these three technologies as the think they will have a really big growth in the near future.
Yeah, I love this part, Edu, and also I feel like the fans need to be listened, and in this sense, the technology will go towards what the fans want. No, but you need to sit down with the fan face to face and ask them, "This is what you want. This is helping you," because many times they throw technologies. Oh, I put some AI on this, and then it works amazingly, and then it's not efficient. No, and also I wanted to launch here something that I was thinking while you were speaking, that with artificial intelligence, there's this movement, no? The artificial intelligence, the human intelligence. Maybe there's something that needs to be created, such as fan intelligence. No,
Yeah.
fans usually are humans, but they have something else that is like passion for the club. They do everything for them. They put football, or in this case, their club, in front of everything. So maybe technology in this sense needs to be mixed with artificial intelligence, with what the fan wants, with the club wants, and then create some kind of movement there to help them out. I don't know. Solutions will get there, but fans, we need to know that fans are the essence, and that they need to be listened.
That's a great point. Fan behavior always comes before technology, I would say, because if not, you're going to lose the fan. You're going to see something similar to what happened with Web3. Fans didn't understand what happened, and the opportunity got lost.
Yeah.
And I think, guys, this is a great way to end. This has been a fun conversation, a very first fun conversation of what we believe is going to be first of many. So, guys, if you enjoyed this, reach out, let us know, and we will be happy to come back and share more of what's going on in terms of innovation about technology. And yeah, where the fan behavior is going. No, Edu, thank you so much. Ramon, thank you. Guys, I have enjoyed this a lot, and just wish you a great day, and we'll be back soon.
Thank you. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
And there you have them. Edu from SportBoost and Ramon from our very own World Football Summit. I love these conversations where you talk about technology, you talk about what's coming, and it's just so much fun. And I really enjoyed it. Let me see if I can summarize some of the, main lessons that I took from the conversation. First off, why is this happening now? Well, you just see it. There's so much investment, so many companies trying to just get into the football industry. Why? Because there's so much untapped potential. I think everybody knows that. You guys that follow, I'm probably sure about that. And it's just a thrilling time, exciting times that we're facing in the industry. At the end of the day, what are some of those opportunities? Well, we talked about democratizing, the access to data, about personalization, about creating content at scale. I mean, at the end of the day, but hey, overall, two things that you need to keep in mind. First, and Ramon was saying it at the end, fan behavior. Where's your fan behaving? Where is it in the journey with a relationship with the club and embracing the technology? That's the first thing. And then, what's the impact on the business? Yes, you can, really adopt any technology and it could be very cool. But at the end of the day, if it's a journey in the business, it's not going to fly, right? Anyway, and when you want to professionalize, you really need that commitment. And we've talked about this. We talked about this with Liam Scully from Lincoln City. You need alignment. You need commitment. Those are the things that really are going to help you thrive adopting new technologies. And finally, always remember, we can speak about technology and innovation all we want, but at the end, sport is the essence. Football is the essence. The passion, the stories, the emotions that only sport can create are unique. And that's what we need to leverage. From there, that's where you apply the technology. From there, that's where you apply the innovation frameworks. But always remembering that it's actually the core of every business initiative related to sports is that. How do you engage with fans? Well, it's through stories, it's through emotions. Anyway, guys, and nothing else from my side. I don't know if anything else stood out to you. If so, as always, Make sure you reach out on social media. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe, rate the podcast on your platform of choice, share it with a friend, with an industry colleague. And, I want to thank you for tuning into this episode of the World Football Summit podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. You learned something new. And stick around. We're going to be doing more of these with, our friends from SportBoost. Check them out on our website as well, because they're doing some very, very interesting stuff with, many startups with La Liga. I mean, they're just a fun company to follow. Anyway, guys, have a great rest of your day, and hopefully we'll see you next time.